Mackenzie Hild could barely eat in 5 years. Every time she tried, she suffered severe pain in the stomach for 4 hours, but no doctor was able to find out what it was about. It all started when I was 19, at which time it was about to begin the second year of medicine at Harvard. She weighed just over 74 pounds, and cried explaining that she did not suffer from anorexia or bulimia. I wanted to eat, but could not. No one knew how to convince them that that was not in my head. But most said it sounded craziest, recalled Hill about that conversation 2010. Over the next 5 years repeatedly he confronted the false belief that their pain was the result of stress, perfectionism or seeking attention. There were times when he was no longer sure of myself. He must have known what was happening, and therefore underwent several tests and treatments in major hospitals. But nothing could identify what was happening in her body. They did analysis to determine whether he suffered any infection caused by parasites, but the result was negative. Also for tropical diseases and intestinal problems such as Crohn's disease, but in all cases the result was negative. What happened to Hild? Hild weighed just over 74 pounds, and cried explaining that she suffered from anorexia or bulimia. No, at that time, not only they had not figured out what was wrong, but still lost over and his health deteriorated. A few weeks after starting the second year of college went to a health center for students, where they decided to take her to the hospital. Boston, pain image result a young woman kept from eating for 5 years, and doctors did not know why. Although she continued to defend this condition was due to an acute pain caused by eating food, doctors chose to send her to a specialist in disorders of food center. Hild knew that this was not his place, so he did everything possible to get out of there as soon as possible. Despite the pain, he was able to earn nearly 10 kilos, and leave in a month. But there was still a long way. In 2011, the pain was so debilitating that chose to connect a feeding tube into your small intestine. In fact, thanks to that was kept alive, turned 101 pounds, and could return to Harvard. Doctors also expected the tube allowed to rest his gut and, eventually, could eat again. I loved college and was desperate to get back. But there was still no answer. I was getting 100% of my food through the nose. But the test did not end there. Yet it would take 3 years to find its cure. During the period he underwent further treatment, without the approach the answer he sought. In the final stage, expectations of finding a remedy were almost null, and came to argue that the only option left was to get a stomach new. She kept claiming that this was due to an acute pain caused by eating food, but doctors chose to send it to a specialized center in eating disorders. But a few months later, an extraordinary coincidence between parents Hild and a doctor at the University of California in San Francisco, specializing in patients with complex cases, gave them a glimmer of hope. The doctor accepted the case and asked one of her students, fourth of medicine, Jessica Gould, to review the case. It was just a student, but she would be that would identify her illness. She had already visited some of the best experts in some of the best hospitals in the country. What could offer me as a medical student? Gould recalled, however, despite his limited experience, after a thorough investigation gave the answer that no one had found in 5 years. It was a variation called atomic MALS, a condition that had already been studied over a century ago, and that is common between 10% and 20% of the population, but only 1% develop severe abdominal pain. And that was the case Hild. But how it is caused? Gould said that according to the most accepted theory, occurs when the celiac artery, which supplies blood to the stomach and other organs, and therefore restricts normal blood flow to the digestive organs, is compressed. This causes rapid weight loss or the appearance of disease. I thought, oh, my God, this is what has said the student. Finally they knew what had become the everyday act, of eating in agony for Hill. It was time to end it all. He visited a surgeon in Chicago and in March 2015 was operated. The operation lasted only 2 hours, but during that short interval of time restored his life. The following day the unimaginable happened. In the same hospital he ate scrambled eggs with some fear, as if after a few minutes I had to get pain. However, to his surprise, neither that day, nor in any of those standing come back,